Yes, only human. A couple of songs come to mind. I'm not going to sing them, but I call him Grandaddy, but that's not his name actually. I think he's a young pretender to the Tom Jones throne, but I keep forgetting his name. It's not Grandaddy, it's Rag and Bone Man. Much tattooed Rag and Bone Man. Saw him in Manchester, and his big song is Human, which I can echo. I won't sing it. I'm only human, I do what I can. I'm just a man, I do what I can. That sense of mortality has crept upon me this morning in this glorious sunshine. I'm in Topsham, some say Topsam, on the estuary of the River Exe, near Exmouth. I've come here to write for a few days. When I was last here hen sitting in October, I promised myself that I would return with my pen, or rather with my laptop, of course, because I don't write. I write my journal with a pen, but I don't write my book with a pen. In fact, I've taken to dictating it on my phone and transferring it to my computer. What book, I hear you ask? Mistaken Identity. Why you are not who you think you are. Who do you think you are? Well, I will save that for later. I use dictation for the first draft, and then I work it up into a proper chapter on the laptop. And with the luck of Shanks, I happen to have come down to Devon and catch this most brilliant sunshine. Flat, still estuary waters, various waterfowl on the estuary, the chug of a little boat in the background. I've just had an hour's nap on a bench in a public garden by the estuary in the sunshine. I thought somebody might have moved me on as a vagrant in this rather posh town. I'm staying in Route 2, an apartment in Route 2, which is a sort of bohemian bikers sort of coffee shop, vegan eatery place. I had a veggie breakfast this morning, which is very lovely. Even the cherry blossom is out. Somebody just pointed out the daffodils poking out of the undergrowth in the garden space behind me, the park behind me. So all the signs of new life are bursting through already, and yet, without wanting to be morbid, I couldn't help thinking about our mortality this morning. It seems to me that the whole problem with our mortality, this inherited disease, life, a sexually transmitted disease, is that we take it from the wrong perspective. We take it too personally. We take this life and death too personally. It's all about me. Well, that's just a story we tell ourselves. Of course, we're very familiar with me, aren't we? It's an ongoing life story. We are the writer, director and star of our own movie, The Life of Me. Is anybody interested? And so there is this sense of the movie coming to an end. And as somebody said to me just yesterday, how long are we remembered? Well, if you're hanging your hat on what makes a well-lived life, how long you're remembered, you're going to be disappointed because it won't be very long. Our frame of time to enjoy in this earthly life is such a nanosecond compared to even the age of this this quayside, this estuary little town called Topsham, which I note had trade connections with the Dutch, Amsterdam in particular. Apparently they wove a very fine woolen material here, I presume from Dartmoor sheep, although I'm making that bit up. And so along the very beautiful, picturesque, quaint is the word, street the length of the town, there are some delightful, clearly Dutch influenced, or even Dutch built, I suspect, houses, one of them called the Dutch House. And I've noticed also that there's a hidden court of Dutch designed buildings in those characteristic red bricks that you might see in a Vermeer painting. You know, the outdoor scene, the very famous outdoor scene one with those very thin red bricks. So there was flourishing trade between Topsham and Amsterdam in, I think it was the 17th century, something like that. And I notice one of the lovely houses with a view over the estuary is called Drake's House. Now the only Drake I know is Sir Francis. So I looked him up and it turns out he was a pirate. I didn't know that. In my O-level history lesson, Sir Francis was well in with Queen Elizabeth I, I think it was. But he was a right robber. To the Spanish, he was a pirate called El Draco, I think. I'm not quite sure what that means. Probably means pirate. Anyway, he's long gone and evidently not quite forgotten. I also learned that his connection with this town was only commercial and functional. He didn't actually live here, and he wasn't from here. He was from Devon, but he wasn't from here. He'd commissioned 3 wooden galleon warships to be built here, and they participated in the repulse of the Spanish Armada. That's the connection, for what it's worth. My point being that even if your name's Drake or Sir Francis, you've got the same time. Actually, he died when he was 55, but you've got the same small time span to make an impression on this life. And so then it's lost in the annals of history. That's all the time we have got. So the temptation is to fit as much in as you can, isn't it? Probably grow a bucket list as long as your arm, but you'll never fit it all in. But this is one aspect of mistaken identity, because we take ourselves to be these time limited, a narrow 70 years and a few between coming out screaming into the world and going out. What is it that Dylan Thomas says about death? Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Now, if we are but a flickering flame for a few short years, of course, and we're easily snuffed out, and that's it. You end up just being a plaque on a bench, a few short words and a few numbers. Here lies Phil, who loved this place. That's what it says, isn't it? But what if this is a case of mistaken identity? It's just a story we spin, we weave like the weavers of Topsham. We spin a story, clothes of our life, but we take ourselves to be these mortal beings. One thing that I've recently learned that puts this in a completely different context is the quantum theory of entanglement. Now, it is received wisdom from our cosmology scientists and their crew that it all started for us in the Big Bang, which you probably know that it might have been very big, but it certainly wasn't a bang and there wasn't light. It was just a fireball of plasma. There was no atmosphere for there to be a bang, and actually it was so hot that there were no photons of light. So it was very big, but it was not a bang, and there were no fireworks, there was no light. Anyway, that's by the by. But all of the particles of the universe were involved in the Big Bang. They were there at the beginning, albeit in plasma form or some non-material form. Shortly after, as soon as they cooled down enough for the laws of physics to have their way, then particles did indeed form. And according to the ideas of quantum physics, which is the closest theory at least the materialist scientists have come up with to account for stuff. They think everything is stuff, although it actually only accounts for about 5% of the mass of the universe so far. But the stuff of matter, they were all rubbing shoulders together in those very early days, and they display what is called entanglement, which is what Einstein referred to as spooky action at a distance. He was not convinced by that. The idea is, oh no, it has been proven in the past several decades in Paris, and also in the States in experiments, that it is indeed true that two particles or atoms separated at birth, they could be on different sides of the universe, but each one of them, like conjoined twins, they respond, for example, in their spin or direction of spin, exactly the same. And according to theories of information not being able to travel faster than the speed of light, this is impossible. So there is this rather fantastical sort of sci-fi idea that you and I, made of course of stardust, all of our component atoms are entangled, and we are all nothing but sparks of the same Big Bang, if you're purely a materialist, or you might say all divine sparks of the same divine flame or cosmic mind. And according to the laws of physics, once again, of course energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transformed. So, resist not death, my friends. It is purely a process of transformation from a rather crude form of matter, great fun at times, good for sleeping in the park in the sunshine. So instead of bemoaning our few score years and then, it's just a stepping stone, a stepping off point, a transit point from one form of energy to another. Now, this we're getting to the point now. If, like most of us, you have grown up and been educated and taught that we live in nothing but a material universe, then the big D, death, is finito. But a significant proportion of modern right-thinking scientists of both religious or spiritual persuasion and atheists are of one mind that consciousness is not an emergent, hey presto, rabbit out of the hat, emergent quality from matter, but rather the other way around. Matter springs out of consciousness, or what some might refer to as the cosmic mind. So it's not a question of being reduced to matter. It's more a question of mind over matter. Mind, or some might say information, is the substance, is the real substance of the universe. And some of us might even say that is what the divine is. With a personal touch, I would add. So, the daffodils behind me are poking their heads through last year's dead leaves, and so the cycle goes on. So, game on. It's just a cycle. Enjoy.